He's not somebody that shoots the wide hands and gives up his chest. He gets into these defensive linemen, and his balance and his base keeps him solidified. I really like this kid.
Memphis offensive lineman Dylan Parham, 80.42 evaluation consensus through everybody here in this room. So we got a second round evaluation on Dylan. And Joe, I know the biggest question that we had with Parham coming into the offseason circuit was how much did he weigh, right? Because he was on the roster in the 280s.
Yep.
He shows with the Senior Bowl, he's 313. And I believe I'd spoken to somebody who said he probably played around 303, 305 this past season at Memphis. So Memphis, shame on you. Update that roster. So we could have been higher on this guy earlier because we were a little apprehensive at first, right? So talk to us about Dylan, the leverage that he gets because of his build. He's 6'03", 311, right? And how that really helps his game.
He's a fascinating player. So you go back to high school with Dylan Parham, and he plays tight end and linebacker. He's also a basketball player, and he's also on the track and field team. And he doesn't throw shot put or discus. This guy's a sprinter and a jumper as a linebacker and tight end in high school football. And so he goes to Memphis to play tight end. And then very quickly he makes the switch over to offensive line where he played a number of different spots. He winds up being a 4-year starter. Some of that came at tackle. A lot of that came at guard, both sides of the line of scrimmage. And so I think he settled into his most natural position this year at right guard. And he got some chances to play some center at the Senior Bowl. This guy could play a lot of different positions for you. Terrific athlete. And I just love how balanced of a skill set he offers where I think he can create displacement in the run game. I think he's got good feet and pass protection to stay square, frame blocks, and keep the quarterback clean. And he's good on the move. You can get him going on some longer pulls, climb to the second level. I think he's just a really balanced player across the board that offers positional flexibility and a really nice athletic profile. So there's a lot to love about Dylan Parham.
Yeah, he triggers quickly off the ball. And that was one of the things I picked up on when I watched him. He triggers vertically, getting up to the second level, working double teams, and getting up to those linebackers. He does a great job with that. I like his hand placement as well. He's not somebody that shoots the wide hands and gives up his chest. He gets into these defensive linemen, and his balance and his base keeps him solidified. I really like this kid.
I just appreciate how square he is all the time. Like, he's always just in the perfect position, perfect body form. Like, he's just always vertical, and he doesn't give his edges, which is something I really appreciate. I do have questions about his anchor. You know, I see him kind of get bullied by bigger defensive tackles at times, but other than that, I really, really think this player is very solid. You guys already mentioned the feet, the hand placement, the athleticism in terms of getting to the second level. He has it all, and so I think this is a guy you take, mid to late second round. He can, be a plug-and-play right guard immediately. But I do think center, keep an eye on that. I think he could be a center in the league for sure.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think that the thing that you see the most about this player is the upside, right? If you keep him in one place and allow him to grow there, I think there's a ton of room for improvement there, and so you definitely think about the upside.
Well, a guy like Logan Hall had a lot of hype throughout stretches of this year, the Houston defensive lineman. And when he was lined up across from Dylan, it was clamps, right? And that was the big game for me that I know I wanted to see. And I generally agree. I think he could be a power center. I think he could be a guard in either kind of system if you want to run gap concepts at a higher rate or if you want to run zone. Think about Laken Tomlinson, who came out, transitioned, went to the Shanahan-style offense, a little bit bigger body, like that real boxy type build, and he's thrived. And obviously he signed with the New York Jets this offseason and got $13 million per season on average. So he's doing very well for himself. I think he's a better athlete than that. So, and it's not close. So I get really excited about Dylan. And the thing I get most excited about, I think that's why that's reflected in where I personally have him ranked up here with my rankings, is there's universal appeal here. Whether you want to play him at center, you want to play him at guard, you want to play gap concepts, you want to run zone, I think he can do all of it because he's fluid enough. Keith, I knew you had something with Dylan that you wanted to mention.
Yeah, and I can just piggyback off of that what you had to say Brentley, and that's the fact you're talking about anchoring. And we seen him at the Senior Bowl, and he held up. Like he was out there, he was battling, he was competing, he did what a small school guy is supposed to do, and that show up against the big dogs, quote unquote, and hold his own. So I was impressed with him there, and like Joe talked about, we was able to see him in person, and he's a filled out body. Like, this is not a thin guy, and then like Dre always talks about, about, right? You can always make them stronger. So I'm excited about that, getting them in the NFL weight room, and I think this is definitely a start in the NFL.
Well, and I reflect on this guy too, and I know our comp, or at least my comp, Shaq Mason,
Yeah, it's a good
new
comp.
Tampa Bay Buccaneer, right? You think about that boxy build coming out of Georgia Tech, a little bit better in the run game than in pass pro. There's some parallels there. Shaq's done real well for himself. So I think about that with Dylan. You agree with that comp as the guy who's seen the most of Dylan here?
I do, and what I like about that comp is we think about Shaq Mason and his ability to like win as a run blocker, and it sounds like there might be some concerns about that power at this point. And I think from a body type and movement skills, like they look the same, and I do think that Dylan has that type of a ceiling to develop as a run blocker and really create a lot of displacement in the run game.
Dylan Parham, interior offensive lineman, we'll leave it at that. We'll let the team who drafts him decide where he's going to play. Early or second round evaluation for us, TDN consensus grade.